Shocking. Absolutely shocking, guys. The moment we've been waiting hundreds of episodes for is finally here. But it just turned into a nightmare no one saw coming. 2DM finally found Toàn, but the man she found isn't her husband anymore. He's a cold-hearted stranger. A brutal shove, a bloody fall, and the most terrifying part, a razor-sharp blade flying out, nearly taking our leading lady's life. Why did Toàn run away? Like he'd seen a ghost. Why is the writer pushing 2DM to this breaking point? Don't miss a single second, because we're diving deep into the brutal truth behind Thuan's empty eyes in this video. But before the rage kicks in, vent that frustration by hitting like and subscribe to help me demand justice for 2DM. Let's get into it. Amidst the hustle and bustle of a gritty working-class neighborhood, a familiar figure appears. He's no longer the polished, sophisticated architect he once was. Instead, he looks haggard, disheveled, and has the lost look of a child wandering a cruel world. 2DM froze. Time seemed to stop. The world around her collapsed, and all that remained was him, the man she had risked her life to find and love. Unable to hold back for another second, 2DM lunged toward him like a moth to a flame. Ignoring everything else, her trembling arms wrapped tightly around his thin frame. She wanted to pull him into her soul, using the warmth of her love to wake up his sleeping spirit. She held him so tight, as if letting go for even a second would cause him to vanish into thin air like smoke. But then tragedy struck. As their eyes met, 2DM expected a spark of recognition, a smile, or at least a reaction. But no. What she got was a look so empty it was chilling. His eyes were like a black abyss, no reflection of her, no past, no love. Toàn looked at her like she was an alien, a crazy stranger attacking him. Pure terror was written all over his face. He flinched, panicking like a cornered animal. Inside Thuan's head, it was pure, terrifying chaos. A splitting headache ripped through his mind. The sight of the woman sobbing in front of him felt strange, yet it carried an invisible weight that made him feel like he was suffocating. He stammered a line that left both 2DM and Fan speechless. Why do you look so familiar? It was a sentence that flickered with a tiny flame of hope, only to be instantly snuffed out by what happened next. The pain and fear took over. Toàn struggled violently, using every bit of strength to shove 2DM, his devoted wife, down onto the cold ground. Clutching his head, he let out a pained scream and bolted. He ran from her, ran from his past, and ran from the very memories that were trying to claw their way back to the surface. As his silhouette disappeared into the dark alley, 2DM collapsed in the middle of the street, her heart shattered into a million pieces. She had found him, only to lose him all over again. The physical distance was gone, but the wall of amnesia between them was now an unbreakable fortress. That is the ultimate cruelty of memory loss, folks. This reunion left a bitter taste in our mouths, a haunting ache that won't go away. Was that one line, "You look familiar," the key to unlocking Thuan's memory? Or was it just a glitch in a damaged brain? What can 2DM possibly do next to snatch her husband back from the death grip of amnesia? Let's wait with bated breath for what's coming next. And don't forget to send your Christmas wishes to this star-crossed couple. Let's hope for a New Year's miracle. Just imagine it, a fragile woman, her mind spiraling, sprinting in shoes that were never meant for running on a jagged sidewalk full of obstacles. Watching 2DM fly forward like a lost arrow, leaving Fan in the dust, showed more than just utter despair. It was a reckless gamble with her own safety. And then the inevitable happened. That fall wasn't just a physical accident. It was the sound of a total collapse. As her toe caught the curb, 2DM slammed into the rough pavement. The dry thud of the impact was enough to make anyone watching flinch. But the heartbreaking part, she didn't care about her bleeding knees or her shredded palms. The second she hit the ground, her eyes were still locked on Tone's retreating back. She tried to crawl, her hand reaching out into thin air, as if to grab the hem of his shirt. But all she caught was dust and the cold sting of distance. Meanwhile, Fan was a step behind, despite his best efforts. You could see the sheer helplessness on his face as he watched her go down, unable to catch her in time. This shot is actually sparking a lot of debate about the directing the danger looked too real. But it's that raw realness that perfectly captures the cruelty of the situation. A wife willing to bleed to hold on to a memory, while her husband uses every ounce of his strength to run away from it. And then there's Toàn, or rather, the stranger living in his body right now. He definitely heard the crash of her fall and Fan's scream. Did he hear it? Yes. Did he hesitate for a split second? Maybe. But the way he chose to react was the sharpest knife to the heart for the audience. Instead of turning back with the basic human instinct to help someone who's hurt, he saw it as a golden opportunity to lose his stalkers. His obsession with his work schedule and his blue-collar responsibilities has been burned into his subconscious so deeply that it's overriding his humanity. He's more afraid of being late, being yelled at by his boss, or losing his measly paycheck than he is of abandoning a woman in agony because of him. How ironic is it? The brilliant architect who once designed massive monuments now has a mind imprisoned by a mindless time clock. He vanished into the alley, leaving behind not just 2DM, but a whole lifetime of brilliant memories he's unknowingly thrown away. As Toàn completely disappeared, the world went deathly silent, broken only by 2DM's choked sobs. She wasn't crying because of her wounds. She was crying because of the brutal reality that just slapped her in the face. The man she loves is alive, but his soul is dead. All her sacrifice, her tireless searching, and that painful fall. All she got in return was a coward's back running away. The director was either a genius or incredibly cruel to let this scene end so abruptly. We, the audience, are left with a massive knot in our throats. We're furious at Toàn for being so lost, but we hurt even more for 2DM and her heartbreaking persistence. This chase wasn't just physical. It's a metaphor for 2DM's life from here on out forever, chasing someone who doesn't want to be found. Will the physical wounds heal? Sure they will. But the scar on her heart from seeing her husband choose to be a nameless punctual laborer over being her loving partner. When will that scar ever close? The big question now is, after this face-to-face but souls apart trauma, what will 2DM do? Will she give up and accept that the Toàn she knew is dead? Or will this agony fuel her to tear this city apart once more? Not to beg for love, but to slap reality into him and wake up the man sleeping inside. We'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, this war for his memory has only just begun. and it's going to be more tear-stained than any script we could have imagined. And honestly, watching that slow motion shot of that shiny knife flying out of the bag and thudding into the ground just inches from 2DM's hand, my blood ran cold. That's not just a plot hole in the directing anymore. It's terrifyingly careless. Imagine a worse scenario. What if that blade hadn't hit the ground, but somewhere else? Are we watching a romantic drama or a survival horror movie, and two fans move, though she meant well trying to calm 2DM down, was so clumsy it was ridiculous? That one fateful pull turned a golden chance for a conversation into a total mess, giving Tone the perfect opening to escape. Instead of being a solid ally in that moment, Fawn accidentally became the ultimate game breaker. The fumbling, the belongings flying everywhere, the clatter of metal. It was a pathetic picture of helplessness. We saw desperation, sure, but it was uncontrolled, unintelligent desperation that almost cost someone their life. But folks, what really makes my blood boil, and I bet yours too, isn't just the clumsiness of the characters. It's the massive logic gap in the script regarding the authorities. Let's look at the facts. We are in 2025. This is the era of digital data security cameras on every corner and AI facial recognition. So tell me, where is the police force in this story? 2DM and 2Fan, two women with limited resources relying only on gut feeling and their own 2 feet, managed to track Tone down before a government system armed to the teeth. It's laughable. Where did the missing persons reports go? Why didn't a man who looks 100% like a high-profile missing person working out in the open at a construction site trigger a single red flag on a police computer? This delay isn't just fiction for the sake of drama. It's an insult to the audience's intelligence. It turns a life and death search into a game of luck where human fate is left to chance instead of professional competence. However, setting aside those massive flaws, we have to admit a truth that is as bitter as it is comforting. 2DM found Toan. That is the only bright spot, the lone lighthouse in this storm. Even if he ran away, even if his eyes are as empty as a hollow shell, at least he's alive. He's there in the flesh, breathing the same air as her. This relief is so huge that it might temporarily dull the pain of being rejected. Found just one simple word, but it cost 2DM a sea of tears and thousands of miles. But everyone finding him is just the start of a new war. That's 10 times harder the war to win back his memory. Toan's look. Oh man, that look. It wasn't hate, it was indifference. And let me tell you, indifference is the kind of acid that burns the worst. To Toan right now, 2DM isn't his wife. She's not his love. She's not his life. She's just a nuisance, an interruption to his shift. It is so ironic and completely frustrating. The man who once swore eternal love now cares more about his time clock than the woman kneeling right in front of him. So what's the next move? If the writers have any mercy left for us, please stop making 2DM scream and chase him like a maniac. She needs a strategy. She needs finesse. An amnesiac is like a scared, wounded animal. The more you corner them, the further they run. 2DM needs to pull back, observe, and approach him not as a wife demanding memories, but maybe as a new friend, a customer, or just anyone who can step into his current world gently. We, the loyal but furious audience, are holding our breath for the next episode. Hopefully, instead of dangerous illogical chases like today, we'll see some deeper emotional beats. Hopefully, a light will flicker in Toan's foggy eyes. Because if 2DM keeps talking to a brick wall, I'm afraid it won't just be the character collapsing. Us viewers are going to collapse from frustration too. What do you guys think about that magic knife situation? And the useless police in this episode? Is Ton faking it? Or has he really forgotten everything? Leave a comment below so we can break it down together. But brace yourselves, because I have a feeling the real storm hasn't even hit yet. And while we're on the topic of comments and theories, I have to pause for a second to vent this rage stuck in my throat. Do you guys feel me? Do you feel like we're being trolled? Right in the heat of the moment, when the audience's heart is hanging by a thread, with every one of 2DM's bloody steps, what does the editor throw in our faces? Grandma picking corn. A long, dragging, slow scene with rustling leaves and the sound of snapping corn stalks. Oh my God, what is the point? Are they advertising farm produce or testing our patience? We don't need slow motion farm life footage right now. We need drama. We need the breathless pace of the main plot. Wasting so much screen time on these meaningless filler scenes is a terrible waste of resources. Meanwhile, look at what we're missing. Where is Tui's perspective? Where is that poor little sister in this chaotic picture? Tui has a right to know, and the audience has a right to see her pain. Imagine Tui getting the news that her big brother is alive, but doesn't remember her. Tui's internal struggle as the strong one carrying the family would be an amazing catalyst to amp up the emotion. Why did the writers leave her on the sidelines like that? And what about Grandma's health? We see her picking corn. So, okay, she's walking. But what we care about is the worry in her eyes, the sleepless nights waiting for news of her grandson. A close-up of her trembling hands. Praying would be worth 1,000 times more than shots of her walking through a massive cornfield. That is cinematic language. That is storytelling that touches the heart. And as for Huyen, oh, just mentioning that name makes my blood pressure spike. Thank God and thank the director for making her vanish in recent episodes. This was the smartest decision. This is hands down the smartest call the production team has made so far. Huyen's absence actually detoxifies the atmosphere, letting the audience focus 100% on the main couple's tragedy without getting distracted by cheap schemes. I am sending my most sincere plea to the writing team. Please just let Huyen stay gone. Do not bring her back as some surprise twist. We are so tired of this character's nonsensical sabotage. If she shows up now, while Toan is as naive as a blank sheet of paper, she's definitely going to scribble lies all over him. And I swear, I will turn off my TV immediately if that happens. Let this tragedy be a story about destiny. Do not turn it into a cheap soap opera catfight over a man. So how do we save the storyline from hitting a frustrating dead end? In my opinion, the writers need to change tactics right now. It's time for Toan to stop running. He can't just keep being a passive victim of amnesia. Give us a small detail maybe while he's working, an architectural blueprint falls into his hands. Would the hands of the brilliant architect automatically react before his brain even realizes it? Or maybe a familiar melody that 2DM used to sing plays on some old radio, making him grab his head in pain. We need triggers from inside Toan's subconscious, not just external pressure from 2DM. The audience needs to see him struggle, We need to see him start doubting this empty reality he's living in. He has to ask himself, why is that woman crying for me? Why does her look haunt me so much? Only when Toàn gets curious about his past will the door of hope actually open. And as for 2DM, she probably needs to switch up her approach. Instead of crashing into him like a storm that terrifies him, she needs to be a gentle breeze. Just show up where he is. Don't demand. Don't scream. Just exist. Use gentleness and patience to wear down his defense wall. True love sometimes isn't about immediate possession. It's about tolerant waiting. Wrapping up today's video, I just want to say, even if we're frustrated, even if we're screaming in anger, it's just proof of how much we love these characters. We want Toàn back. We want 2DM to be happy, and we want their family reunited. Thank you guys for hanging out until the very last minute to dissect this mess and vent with me. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single analysis when the next episode drops. But for now, head down to the comments and let me know, if you were the writer, how would you make Toàn remember a blow to the head? Or a sentimental object? I'll be reading and replying to your ideas. Have a peaceful evening. Hopefully less frustrated than I am. Laughs. And I'll see you in the next breakdown. Goodbye and see ya.